Oh.
Should we start again? August. Right. Open session. Members of the public may make representations, ask questions and give evidence at a meeting which are entitled to attend in respect of the business on the agenda. This is for a period of 15 minutes overall and is limited to 3 minutes per person. Would anybody like to ask any questions? Yes, Brian.
Excuse me. Brian Darling, local resident. Just want to say personally thank you to everybody that was involved with the 400 bridge project over the weekend. Excellent, just very, very good, yeah. And I was pleased to see that the lifeboat, I was a little bit worried that maybe they might kind of compete for a footfall, that kind of thing, but it seemed to be going quite swimmingly as well. So there was definitely a buzz around the town, just people moving around in all different areas, not all just congregating in one kind of thing. So very, very good. The next one, and yes, I would love to get into this, but I'll kind of keep it short and sweet. I've suffered twice from bullying by our past Town Clerk. So, and one of them was really quite nasty the way that it was gone about and quite sneaky and possibly slightly illegal as well. So I'm just personally very pleased that that gentleman is no longer in this town. Yeah. A couple of things on the back of that. When we appoint a new clerk, or just a couple of things I want to throw at you and have a little think about, could that clerk within a couple of years be looking to move into the town rather than living externally?
Preempting yourself there, Brian. We don't know who we're going to appoint at the moment.
Just like I said, food for thought. Just
Well, we'll certainly bear that in
mind. My understanding is that the current mayor is the line manager of the clerk. I've always thought that's a little bit kind of juxtaposition. Could it be changed to the mayor post his year being the line manager of the clerk? Because then you've got the skills, you've got the, if you're a new mayor, you're looking to the clerk quite a bit possibly for a steer on what's going on. And I think the mayor, once they've done the year's work, have the skill set to be possibly that. Again, I'm not looking for answers at the moment. I'm just throwing these things at you. Could we go back to monthly meetings opposed to, because the communication, I used to attend all these meetings for about the last decade up until COVID, and it kind of felt a bit pushed away kind of thing, the way things have gone. That's why I haven't been present as much.
Brian, you've given us plenty to be thinking. Is there much more?
No, two other points. Could I get some kind of statement from the Town Council as to your future direction? We've grown as a council from a small group of people to quite a large, and again, all the attendance, I've never ever seen anybody sort of say, right, this is the goal in 5 years, we intend to get rid of all the contractors, bring the work. Just some kind of, what are we looking as a town council to achieve, I don't know, yearly, 5-year plan, that kind of thing.
That's enough.
Last one, no, apologies, I think some apologies I wrote to some people in this town as well, and I just wondered whether or not you guys might think the same.
I'll pick up on the second last point first.
Thank you for your time.
Put out a press release saying that it gives us a fresh start, and we will be looking to actually be more delivery focused, and that's what we've actually had a staffing review at the same time. So therefore, going forward, we are going to be concentrating more on being delivery focused. There's an amount of things that councillors have actually approved here that we haven't been able to action. We've already started actioning those, and you will see more of those action going forward. Particularly with the post now being created on our new operations manager, who will be coming in post at the end of this month. One of the first conversations will be going through that action plan and seeing how quickly we can start delivering. Apologies. I'm not making apologies on behalf of other people. However, Brian, what we are determined to do is we will reinstate partnership working throughout this term. Okay. I think there was a couple of points I wanted to be taken as right.
The town clerk didn't report directly to the mayor, managed by the staffing committee.
Right. Okay.
Chair
Yeah,
Vice
my
Chair,
mix.
so that already been a change for the past year, was it more?
Year and a half.
Year and a half.
Okay.
Thank
Anyone
you.
else? Yeah? Yeah? Oh!
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Has the council considered looking at shared services with regard to a town clerk? Sharing, there are far larger councils than this, for example, which share chief executives across several London boroughs. Is that something that the council is prepared to look at, particularly given that it's spending more on a new role on the operations side of things?
Certainly we can look into that. Thank you for that.
Right.
We haven't actually decided on our actual brief for the new officer. Although one thing we are thinking of, instead of having it as being called the town clerk, I think our view is that we are thinking of chief officer instead, because I think that picks up the role far better on what we're actually looking to achieve going forward. But certainly we'll bear that in mind. Thank you. If that's everything, shall we move on to apologies for absence? Sorry, Laura.
I just wanted to echo Brian's comments with regard to Bridge 400. It was great.
Yeah. Thank you. Apologies for absence, Steve.
Councillor Stevenson.
Thank you. Minutes, to sign as a correct record, the minutes of the Berwick-Upon-Screen Town Council meeting held on the 24th of June 2020. The editor on it. One spot it was about the D-Day celebrations and the moving of the beacon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, I don't think I need to amend anything. Everyone happy with page 1? Page 2? Yeah, we'll get that sorted. Page 3, Steve, make a note, please. Page 3. Page, sorry, town mayor's announcements. Yeah. Okay, page 4 is internal audit page. Page 5, annual government statement. 6, accounting statements. 7, not a continuation of that. 8 is annual government accountability, the AGAR return. Street furniture will pick up later. Litter bins will pick up later. Leaflet drop. Grant application. It doesn't appear on the agenda, but I still think we need a little bit more information from the people who asked for the grant. We have agreed it in principle. I think the budget figures at the sense through still raise a little bit of concern, and I just need to, it possibly is they get so much funding comes in at regular periods through the year, and I'd just like to get that wrapped up.
Yeah, budget amendment in this period, we passed it to this full council.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So, because it's not on the agenda, so is that going to come
Is
on?
that what the money
Meant to be
you're
on the agenda here.
Sorry, are we talking?
C4C.
Oh, well, I moved on.
C4C choices.
Ah, right, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's a
I'm
different
on the other one.
Right.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah.
So will it come on as part of the minutes discussion?
It's on the
Otherwise,
agenda,
we're just going to
isn't
keep
it?
pushing it back.
It's on the agenda.
The tourism office is on the agenda.
No, the C4C.
The C4C is, we agreed to get more information from them, and it was to be approved by 2 out of 4 members, I think, of the mayor, who changed his budget.
Oh, yeah.
But we had to, that was the...
There's just been so much going on, Graham.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we need to make sure it's not on
It's
the
just, I'm feeling uncomfortable at the moment until I personally get a bit more
So
information.
wait for more information.
Yes, we'll wait for more information,
Yeah, sure.
but that's different to the tourism officer.
Okay. Calendar, municipal calendar. Then on to the different minutes. Planning. CLS. Budget admin. Date of next meeting. And then we've got from the closed session, CO 2424, I don't think most of that should be in there, because we actually decided that we would rather not discuss that document that night, and we agreed that we would actually have councillors come up. So can I propose that CO 2424 is actually scrubbed?
Yes.
Yes? All those in favour?
So, I haven't got it yet.
Right.
It's the private session.
Page 16.
Yes,
16
Yeah.
and also 8.
Just keep the it straight, there was a vote on this. It was proposed that the report not be considered, and there was a vote which was unanimous supporting that motion. And it was agreed not to discuss the report because I thought that it was not factually correct.
And one-sided.
And one, well, I said worse, but yeah, one-sided. We agreed that we would not discuss the report, but the record, I think, should show that there was a vote on it and it was unanimous.
If councillors are happy, would you like me to amend the minutes and bring them back to the next meeting?
Please.
Would that be better?
Yeah.
One other thing that can be changed, the more eagle-eyed might have noticed that we get Community and Local Services Committee, CO41, we got to CO42 and 43 at the Staffing Committee, but then the numbering goes a bit wrong for next meeting unless there's in there.
Yeah.
So that was changed as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody happy then for it to
Yeah.
come back to the next meeting with the amendments?
Yeah.
Agreed, yes? Thank you. Disclosure of interest. Anyone got any interest in the agenda items tonight? No? Okay. Move on to item 5, Town Mayor's announcements. A wee announcements from the Town Mayor. I had a wee bit of a busy spell. What always happens is that once the sun comes out, or considers coming out, the Mayor tends to get invited quite a bit. So the Civic Party was invited to Longridge for Founders Day. Then on the 9th of July we had the Freedom Ceremony. And it was pleasing once again to see people both from locally and from internationally coming to actually take up their right to become free. On the 10th was the curfew run, and that was so well attended. It really is such a wonderful event. I mean, I can remember when I was a kid when we used to have, it was a major draw for the town. And I'd love to think at some time we might be able to do something similar to that. I mean, we used to get some very good athletes come to the curfew run. Not saying we're doing it, but certainly it would be nice to see something like that happen again. And if some group wanted to actually push for that, I'm sure we would like to support that, because it brings in again a different type of tourist to the town. On the 17th went to Kelso for the Kelso Laddie event. Fantastic. They're so fortunate having a town square in which to hold everything. It brings the whole community into one space, and it does make such a difference. Again, it didn't help the weather. Well, it did help because the weather was absolutely fantastic. In fact, too warm. But anyway, fantastic event. And I was so pleased the Civic Party were invited. Following day, the Salmon Queen. And what a wonderful young girl we now have as our Salmon Queen for this year. She's only 14 and she's so eloquent. Absolutely knocked off my feet when I heard her speak. So she will be definitely be invited for this day. 27th, Minden Day. Brilliant. The only thing that concerns me, and I mean again it was raised by the officers themselves, is that each year they lose so many of their veterans because we no longer have the regiment. But it was good to see this year they actually invited the Fusiliers along as well to march with them. And I think there's got to be more thoughts about how we're doing that in the future. On that point, I don't think we've got anywhere else. We've got 3 events coming up next year, which I think we as a council need to be looking at. We've got Armed Forces Day, which we didn't organise, but we were invited along to, but that hasn't happened since 2019. And I think we should be looking to try and get a group together alongside the British Legion to look at Armed Forces Day. But also, more importantly, we've got VE Day, the 80th anniversary next year, and VJ Day. Some big events, some things that we should really be celebrating and commemorating at the same time. So I'd like to think that our operations manager will be coming on board with some people in the town, the key people. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're doing it on there. I'm preempting myself, you see. Right. So anyway, enough of that. Berwick 400, Brian, you said it right. I was concerned that I thought the lifeboat fate might lose out because of being distant from the rest of the events, but it didn't. You saw people traversing between the 2 events. It was a fantastic weekend. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And the volunteers have to be thanked for their effort. Absolutely. So we'll move on to item 6, and that was the forthcoming events. So I've just highlighted those 3 events. Anyone else can think of any other events we should be thinking about for next year? Forewarned is forearmed. We're far better off starting to organise these things now rather than waiting till 3 weeks before some event, major event, and realise, oh. No?
Events planners to be sorted in September,
Right.
so that should help us. And they need to be preemptive dates. Do you know what completion date for the hospital is? Because that's quite a big occasion.
25, back end of 25, I think.
Just as a heads up, it may obviously move. Because I think there is a sort of civic thought to it that we want it just to turn into members of parliament and such.
Nothing wrong with the members of parliament.
No, I'm just saying there's room for more.
If anyone can think of anything more, as Rosemary says, we're trying to put together a calendar of events coming up and our input into them, okay, which links in quite nicely with Stephen as when he comes on board as operations manager. Okay, everybody quite happy, sorry, to move on to item 7 then, the LTP capital programme. And there to delegate authority to the Communities and Local Services Committee to consider a final decision on priorities for the LTP capital programme 25-26. There's still ideas coming through. Some ideas came to planning committee the other evening about what our priorities should be for the LTP, and I feel that we want to push it as close to the closing date as possible before we actually decide on that. And I think that gives time for members of the community to still come forward. So is everybody happy for that to be delegated to CLS? Yeah, as most of us anyway sit on it, and if those who don't sit on it want to come along if they have any suggestions. Yeah?
Sorry.
So
Can you remind us when that CLS meeting is?
It's early in September. Probably about the minutes. So what is the second?
Let me see on my phone.
No, I've got it down as the
Second September.
Just, if I may, Chair, just to clarify the deadline for the County Council to receive, the Town Council gets to submit 3 suggestions for local transport plan. And the deadline for that is, if I remember right, the 29th of September. So if we left it to the next, again, full council.
It was too close to the.
27th.
Yeah, I think it was too close.
27th of September is the deadline.
The next full council is on the 30th, so it would miss the actual date.
We came forward with the planning committee, which deals on our behalf with transport matters, did consider some of the options last week, but we're aware obviously that not all councillors would have had the chance to have input into that, so we suggested pushing back to CLS in early September.
Everybody happy with that? Yeah? Thank you. Tourism officer to consider the report. Graham, do you want to read on this, or are you quite happy for everyone just to actually take the report as read?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it as read.
Right.
I think it makes the case. I hope it makes the case.
Has everybody had a chance to read it? Any questions? Yes, Janice.
What is Graham expecting us to do about the report? So far, it's just a report, it's not a proposal.
The first sentence says proposal to reinstate a granted contribution
Yeah. All right.
to the tourism officer.
Okay, well, I still have. I know that we probably didn't have all the information or that we should have had, but when we originally, and I'm going from what the town clerk told us, when we originally gave them this money, they were supposed to give us a yearly report saying what they'd used the money for, I suppose, which they never did. And then when we said that we weren't going to give them the money anymore, the town clerk said that we didn't need to tell them because it had been a time-limited arrangement and it had expired. And I accept that the present person who is doing the Visit Britain, Visit Berwick, is much better than we've had in the past. But we've never had any input into choosing the person. We've never had any reports about them. I think I distrust a lot of what the community trust says. We've got at Spittle we've got a container that is supposed to be for beach wheelchairs. It's just sitting there. It's never been used, as far as I know. They were going to make it look beautiful, and it doesn't look beautiful. So I feel that I'm not quite as sanguine as Graham is about accepting what they say. And I also think that it's something that we need to put to our new operations manager and our new chief officer, because they will have, perhaps they will want to consider strategies for tourism in the town, and I wouldn't want to preempt what they want to say about it.
Tom?
Can I just check when the sort of grant year ends in terms of their subscriptions? Sorry, it's not a grant, it's a subscription. Like, when does their subscription year start and end? Is it April to April, or if it's January to January, we're more than halfway through the year already. And frankly, I would say we made the decision in good faith last time round, and we stick to it, and we come back to it for our next coming year once we have more information, as Janet has suggested.
Graham?
Well, I don't actually know the answer to that, but I think the subscriptions come from up to 200 small businesses, and the community trust tourist officer gets in touch with them and encourages them to hand over 50 quid for access to the website and the promotion that goes with that. So I think it's a kind of a rolling subscription rather than necessarily, but I am making an assumption. I think if somebody joins in July, they'll probably start paying from July, but I don't really know how they manage that. But just more generally, obviously I had a conversation with the Community Trust Chief Officer in discovering this, and obviously I'm convinced, because hence I put the paper forward, that £7,500 of our money raised from residents is £7,500 well spent, because of the amount of effort and the success that the tourist officer is having. One of our strategic objectives, we very rarely refer to our strategic plan. In fact, I can't even find it on my own laptop. I wrote the first 2 pages of it. We don't often refer to it, but one of its things is very much about promoting the sustainability of the town, so that it's great for residents and for visitors, and if it's great for visitors, it creates jobs and work and vitality and all the rest of it. And I think, therefore, it's entirely consistent, in my mind, for us to be making a contribution towards a post that fuels that. I could almost imagine some local authorities probably employ their own tourist officers, but I think this is a great deal, because the town gets the benefit of this person. It costs us £7,500. We were told that we shouldn't be contributing because we were the only contributors. That information turns out to be false. Community Trust have put me right on that, and in fact 200 small businesses as well as ourselves contribute to it. So we made the decision, I think, on false information, and I think as we set our stall out in the new Berwick Town Council viewpoint, we talk about the chair mentioned it, we're going to be partner builders, and I think one of the very good ways to do that is to put your money where your mouth is and sort of honour an arrangement we made. I think it's correct to say it was time limited. I think it probably was, as far as I can tell, it was done on an annual basis. But I think the fact we made the decision around about December time as part of our budgeting process, and then didn't actually go and tell, we didn't have the bottle to tell them, I just think is not, I'm not proud of that as a councillor, as a member of this council, and I feel there's a part of me wants to put that right. And my view of Berwick Town Council is that of Berwick Community Trust is that they're a good organisation, they're ambitious, they want to work with us, and hence I made the case. But, I accept whatever we decide, obviously.
So,
200 small businesses at £52 a year is approximately £10,000, and then 7.5 on top of that, £17,500 for an annual salary. We don't know what the community trust themselves are putting into it, but you'll note comments that they put something into it. So it's a big chunk, a sizable chunk of an annual salary, which is just something for us to be aware of compared to the other contributions. I think I agree with Graham about the importance of a role if it's being undertaken energetically and enthusiastically. I think it should be picked up as part of our partnership working that you referred to earlier. But I do think that in terms of future communication, we should be clear on what it is. Is it a grant? Is it a subscription? How long? So, for example, we have told the local people it was just for them getting the grant, getting started, not in perpetuity. So what are we looking at? We're looking at a time limited thing or something more in perpetuity because it's that form of partnership. And we should have a discussion about what the measurement matrix could be. How do we measure success? How do we measure our value for money from this 7,500 of the residents' money each year? So in the short term, I'm prepared to accept a proposal to consider it again for this year. In the long term, I'd like it to be on a partnership and firmer awareness basis of what the measurements are for it.
personally, I feel like I'm sure a number of you do, the fact that even though we made this final decision in January, not to inform them until quite recently that they weren't getting that funding doesn't sit well with me.
No, Gareth said we didn't need to, because I asked him when we were discussing it, I said, do we need to let them know? And he said no, because they have no reason to expect it on a yearly basis.
That might be one interpretation, but my interpretation is that you have an officer where almost half of their income is their salary is being paid by our grant, our sponsorship of that scheme. For us not to inform them that they weren't to receive it, that then puts the community trust in a hole for this year financially. And if for nothing else, I feel for this year that we should actually take with Graham's recommendation and Laura's recommendation that for this year only, we actually find the 7,500, but also pick up on the point that we need to really look at what we're actually doing as far as tourism for this town, work and hopefully in partnership with them, and maybe stronger partnership with them, and have a shared officer, possibly, might be one of the things we look at. But for this year only, I feel that we have a duty to support this officer for at least this year. Laura? Rosemary?
It's all right.
I get you two next.
Women of a certain age. Right, so I fully support this because I feel that we need to move forward and have a positive relationship with our partners. And fully take on board the fact that it needs to be really clear why we're doing it. We need maybe quarterly reports. We need to actually agree what does success look like. And actually to think, because there's certain things, do we want to support them long term? Do we want to put a little bit of money into things long term? And is it that our grants are only about pump priming, new starts, but are there some things that we would want to help them with sustainability? So that's my view. My view is I support it, but I do fully understand lots of the reservations, including the wheelchair store that doesn't appear to open.
Tom?
Then going forward, the idea of collaborative working, absolutely support. With regard to this proposal to effectively give kind of a sort of one-off donation with immediate effect. Just a little earlier this evening, we referred to the previous minutes, and the application for a grant from C4C, and we asked for further details of that. I still think the financial details we've been given by the Community Trust are lacking. Deputy Mayor said £52 for small businesses, on there it says 500. If they've got 200 small businesses giving £500 each, that is £100. Why are we even considering money?
Can you suspend standing orders, Chair, for contributions from the public gallery?
If it's of any benefit to the committee,
I would certainly look up.
Yeah. Sorry, hold on a second. Sorry, carry on, Tom.
Yeah, the figures on the sheet that we've been provided as the background paper for item 8 say small businesses contribute £500 for an annual subscription, pay £500 for an annual subscription. If the figures of 200 small businesses are correct, then that is £100.
52 million.
Well, why is it saying that this is their own document?
Sorry.
I'm going to suspend.
Go on, sorry.
Thanks. What due diligence will Council be carrying out? The Development Trust has £1.4 million in their bank, so what due diligence will you carry out? Because the Development Trust, Community Trust, has £1.4 million in funds. That's my point.
Okay.
Sorry. My point was I've actually paid the subscription for that. It is £50 a year.
Okay.
I don't know if the council's actually met with the new lady who's the visit. She's absolutely brilliant. She was brought over from the Baltic down in Newcastle. She's got amazing experience. It's an absolute bargain what you're getting for that money. And in terms of what could be happening, I don't know if you've seen the recent drone footage for the Berwick piece. It's absolutely brilliant. I think one of the things that might be worth looking at is sort of direction of sort of projects and so on. But I mean, I was incredibly impressed with the kind of things she can do. I think she just needs some partnership and direction on some of those things, because I think for that money you're getting absolute bargain in terms of experience. Just my.
Well, thank you, councillors, for allowing those two people to speak.
Thank you.
That paper is an old paper. Sorry, John. This paper is an old paper because it still talks about Jenna. Now, Jenna was here 2 years ago. Right. So this hasn't been updated. So I take it when the Community Trust went to the community, it was small businesses probably thought that 100 was too much and they brought the price down. So I'm not so keen on looking at that figure anyway. However, I do see the regulations around this table. How do we move this forward? Laura? Rosemary again.
Can I propose that we accept it on using the same criteria, that want a little bit more information, plus maybe a meeting to sort out the strategic direction, but we've got 2 officers just check all the finances on our behalf, but we accept it and move forwards on the further details.
Okay. Tom, you may have a different proposal.
It's not a proposal, it's just the member of the public who mentioned the subscription. It would be a subscription. The subscription obviously offers stuff in return. If we were considering a subscription, we would want whatever it is in return. So they are access to Facebook support groups are offering, all those other things which my understanding is the town council haven't benefited from in the past via the community trust. It is a two-way street where we're not just giving money for nothing.
But again, the question could be asked, was it anything we actually asked? Was it offered and we didn't actually take it up? I can't answer that one.
So,
Yeah. Okay. We have a proposal that we actually accepted for this year, for 1 year, but we also do some work, start working with them. And now and again, I would imagine the operations manager will touch base with the community trust and actually look at what was offered and what we actually can glean from it. Can I put that to a vote? So this 1 year only. Yes. Thank you. All those in favour? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4. Anyone opposed? 2. Okay. Right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Move on. Scheme of delegation. Just consider adoption of the draft scheme of delegation. Rosemary, would you like to?
Right, I didn't know what a scheme of delegation was before, but when we didn't have a proper officer, we had to look at the paperwork that enabled us to have a proper officer. And there's 3 important documents for the council: the financial regulations, the standing orders, and the scheme of delegation. Who's allowed to do what? So this is now updated, taking advice from our HR advisor, plus looking at what we actually decided, and it includes who becomes a proper officer if you've got someone not here. So it's totally updated. It's got more in on what the staffing committee can do, because the staffing committee were doing recruitment, etc. So that gives Steve some really big thanks, because he's really helped. Laura and I pulled this together with the information that came from the HR person. But that's everything that's in it. So basically, it's just one of our documents that guides us and supports us in what we do. That's it really. I would really like to thank Steve for his advice and hard work on this.
Yes, it is.
What Steve's looking at, I do think something we'll need to come back to maybe December and make sure that it's right for the following year.
I'm checking this about something about the proper officer, about the chief. Oh yes. It was about sorry, getting ahead of myself. As part of the standard orders, which will be affected if they are adopted. So it's actually the next question, the next item on the agenda that I'm thinking of, not this one. If everybody agrees this, it'll be the next one. Sorry about that. Okay.
So nothing confidential.
Right.
No.
Any questions from any councillors on the document? No? Okay. I see here it actually says review and AGM. So do we have to bring this up in the
Well, certain documents that are best to go through the AGM each year, the standing orders, the financial and this, and we ought to make sure once we've got all the stuff in place that it's got a correct sequence and the information is sound.
No, Rosemary, just you said maybe bringing this back in November.
Yeah, I think we need to.
But if we're quite happy with this, unless anything changes between now and November, why don't we just wait till the AGM?
We'll just check that it's okay.
Everybody happy to approve? Yeah. All those in favour? Thank you very much. So that then moves on to amending the standing orders to link in with that.
Yes.
So do you want to explain the first bit? Steve can explain the second. So we amended the standing orders because the Budget and Admin Committee, Tom and I have been trialling co-chairing. So if you haven't got a co-chair, if Tom was there and he was the chair, I couldn't stand in for him if he'd had a busy day, etc. So it means that we can choose between us who's actually going to chair the Budget and Admin Committee and work on our strengths as well.
Right, Rosemary, I think
So
that'd be very helpful to
So
all.
that's That's the only change in the standing orders so far.
Helpful to all the councillors to know which point within the standing orders are actually referred to, because this is a big document.
Yeah, point 4,
Point
page 8.
Page 8.4 and which part, point 4?
No.
No, no.
Committees and subcommittees allowing the coaching.
So that's not here. Where does that say that at the moment? Where is it in this document? But I don't see that here now.
It's a point 8.
Point 8. Page 8.8.
Point 4.8, short of committees.
Right. Right at the bottom of the page. Yeah. Everyone see it now? So that's what we're agreeing to.
Yeah.
So it's just the adding in of the 3 words, either coach or the 1 word coach, is that right?
Yeah.
That's the only changes that's been made.
Is that it, Rosemary? Just
Well,
that?
that's that, but we do need to change one more then.
Right, that's fine. No, so is everybody happy with that amendment to add a co-chair? Yes? Okay. Then the next point, where is that?
That is point 15 on page 17.
Thank you.
And that is to do with the property officer, and you'll notice it's mentioned in there the clerk. It also needs to, firstly that needs to be changed to the chief officer, and there's also the property officers. So we need to say 1 chief officer, 2 other staff members, 3 the mayor, the deputy mayor. That's if councils are happy with that.
So the 2 documents need to marry up.
Basically, yes. Yeah, yes.
So 15A.
15A.
15A on page 17. Okay.
So
Honestly, that needs to be chief officer.
to that, not having, we don't want that from
Well, we just approved it beforehand. So is everybody happy for Steve to amend 15A to read exactly this way? Proper officer, either 1 chief officer, and then what is it?
Then the operations
Then the
manager.
operations manager, then the deputy
Yes,
manager.
yes, that's it, yes.
Yeah, is everybody happy with that wording of it now? If everybody's happy with that, is everybody happy to approve the amendment? All those in favour? Thank you.
You're okay.
Okay.
Christine Wall is advice on how.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. Move on next to item 11, loan working policy. Who wants to introduce this one?
Loan working, we didn't have a loan working policy. It came out of some discussions with staff. We're adopting this one, and the key things will be the staff will need to risk assess all the things that they do, things like acceptable when they're on their own, and they will then come up with the most sensible solutions with the operations manager. And we need a risk assessment for that. We didn't find one with it. So we now at least have a document. The next bit will be to do the risk assessments.
I think councillors are all aware of what's happened over the last month with the situation where we have had members of staff working alone in this office. It has raised the importance of having such a document for everybody's sake, for our sake, and for the health and welfare of our staff. Anyone have any questions on this? Janice?
I wondered, I suppose, 2 related things. Have the present staff been asked if they are okay to work on their own? And is it going to be part of future contracts that they must, or that they can opt out of working alone?
Certainly, all the staff were asked and how they're comfortable, and we have a system in place now. If anybody was to be working here on their own, then they text someone else to say they've come into the office and they're in here on their own. As far as would it be I would hope that we won't be in that situation. I hope once we get back up to our normal staffing levels in the office, that shouldn't arise. But certainly, Laura, will you take that back to staff and committee to have a look at? Yeah.
May I? It would, professionally speaking, it would totally depend on what was being done. So the situation would dictate whether or not loan working was suitable for the person. Apart from how they feel about it personally, the task definitely dictates the risk assessment, and because the task then dictates the risk assessment, that will dictate if they can work on their own on that specific. But safe systems of work will have to be put in place to make sure that nobody is left in a vulnerable position.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Stephen.
John.
A couple of small points. Paragraph 6 refers to Town Clerk. I think changing to Chief Officer, and obviously that will be the case through every document, every council document. I would also possibly prefer if it was explicit that this applied to also to the ramparts as well. I'm sure it does, but I think it would be worth making that explicit just to avoid any confusion. That it applies to all staff, not just office-based staff.
Anyone else? With those amendments, is everybody happy to approve? Yep. Yes? Okay, all those in favour?
So I'm confused, which amendments?
The two amendments, which are just changing the chief officer, and the other one is just specifically to say that it means the unit as well. We know that it means that, well, yes, let's have it in writing to say that it means a warrant of the unit as well. And when they're loan working around the town.
I think it's. I think it does say all staff.
Yeah.
So.
It also mentions office hours, so
Yeah.
there is a.
I suppose one thing is I've sent this round twice. Do I really want to revisit it? I'm just having a little wobble game. I've got to actually. I can change it, but I think for the future, if I send things out for comment, I would prefer to have them in advance. Right, come on.
I accept the criticism.
I'm still friends.
Are we happy, Rosemary? We will sort it out. We won't expect you to actually revise it. Okay.
I was just not wanting to change the proposal, the vote, or anything else. I just wanted for the record to say that obviously there is a substantial role for the operations manager in implementing the policy. If any recommendations are forthcoming as a result of that, that we would take those into account sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Happy with that? Thank you.
So
Thank you for being so diplomatic.
You haven't even started yet, we've given them homework.
We did vote on this, didn't we? Yes? No? Okay, right. All those favour with the amendments, which will not be Rosemary doing. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay. Job evaluation appeals procedure. Consider a recommendation of the Budget and Admin Committee to adopt the job evaluation appeals procedure. Is it straightforward? Laura?
I'd like to comment that because they've written it up on the experience of having to undertake an appeals process, that the procedure is a reflection of the actuality of that process. I propose it be accepted.
Okay. Everybody happy to accept? Yep. Right. All those in favour? Thank you. Mentoring. Consider authorising the spend of up to £1,000 on a mentoring programme for each new senior officer. Laura?
Our HR advisor offers a mentoring program, which he feels is particularly useful for staff who might be coming in that don't already have a local government background. And it's 10 one-hour sessions over a planned period done by Zoom or Teams. And there's certainly potential for use with the ops manager and possibly also when we get our new chief officer.
Sounds a logical thing to do. Yes?
Everybody happy to approve that? Yeah. All those in favour? Thank you. Recruitment. Receive a verbal update. Laura?
Yes, okay. So, most members of the public probably have already guessed that our new operations manager has been selected. Interviews were undertaken a few weeks ago. A unanimous selection by the recruiting panel and our HR advisor was made and offer made to the applicant, and the applicant has chosen to come to committee tonight. So, welcome, Stephen. And start date is 26th.
26th.
Well,
of
26th,
but
but
27th.
26th is a public holiday, so you'll be paid from the 26th, but first day in the office will be the 27th.
Brilliant. Okay. And that's the that's it for the moment, is it?
Same package, gold package from our HR advisor for looking for a new chief officer when that comes out. The likelihood of that is advertising late August, early September, and actually I've just read he has given us dates for interview the 11th and 12th of October.
I'm not take any holiday before then. Okay.
Tom?
Just aware of the comment or query from the member of the public at the start of the meeting about the question of whether we would consider shared services for the chief officer, and if there's an advert scheduled to be going out within the next 3 to 4 weeks, then obviously if we were to be considering that, then that research would have to happen.
Okay, so what I can do in responding to that for council consideration is to share a conversation that Graham and I and our HR advisor had during the recent applications over lunch one day, and it basically went along the lines of this. If the council wants to move along at a reasonable pace, just keeping things ticking over as maybe has been in recent years, without very much ambition for the town, then a part-time services rather than full-time might be appropriate, and therefore shared services might be appropriate. But if the council, with a properly qualified chief officer, wants to be more ambitious than we have been, you know, if we want to be able to take on buildings, help provide aspects of social housing, you know, help run community hubs, do more ambitious things for the town, then the role of chief officer is definitely a full-time job.
Thank you.
Graham, would you like to add anything to that? Is that a fair summary?
Not much. I mean, I think with money in mind, it crossed my mind that it could potentially be a part-time post, but I was quickly captured by the idea that as in a town like this, we should be ambitious, and therefore, we can afford to pay for a full-time post. We don't pay above the going rate. We pay the going rate. Other towns of our size pay what we pay. So I don't think we're pushing the boat out to go for a full-time officer. And I think for the staff we've got, that feels very appropriate. In order to keep things, go beyond ticking over.
Sorry, John. Rachel, were you want to ask a question?
My point was actually to concur that we had what seemed to be a very sensible comment from the floor, which was to look to the matter of whether or not the question would be who we might share a service with, and that's the difficult part, and that's why obviously to go through that exercise, Tom Do you have a suggestion? Sorry, Mr.
No,
Chairman.
I'm not volunteering.
Okay, John, slightly different, is it?
No, well, yes and no. On the point of view of sharing, I accept your point. Absolutely, that within Northumberland, I think there are no more than 5 or 6 councils of our size, so for someone to have the sort of level of competence and experience, you would automatically be sharing with someone from Alnwick or Hexham or Watford or Cranlington or Ashington, and we'd get back into the sort of commuting issues, which again were mentioned by one of the members of the public. So sharing with outlying smaller parish councils of sort of where communities are no more than 300 or 400 people, I'm not sure that there's a potential for us offering them use of our services maybe, but not on a sort of 50-50 basis, that's for sure. And then, so what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, crikey, sorry.
Sorry, well, while you're thinking on
Thank you.
no, I'm going to say something. Picking up what Brian said at the beginning as well.
That was the other thing I was going to say. The strategy and the ambition.
Well, strategy, ambition, and also having someone local, which is why with us actually trying to go for a chief officer rather than a town clerk, again, it's emphasising that we're going to be more delivery focused. To be delivery focused, I think you need to have someone that knows what is happening in this town and needs to devote all their time and attention to this town and not to another town. So I feel personally that whilst it may be in a city where it's the things you're trying to deliver are similar to, you know, the boundary, there isn't those same boundaries. Here, we have got specific issues for this town, and I personally like to see someone devoting all their town for this town and no other town. Okay, so Tom, come back to you. Well, you had your second one, you couldn't remember.
Sorry, it was to pick up on, or to tie the discussion in with the point that Brian Darling made earlier about forward strategy, which again the Deputy Mayor did mention a little earlier, and that there is a document specifically that was written a year or so ago, that we did develop that sort of 5-year plan. It's clear that that's not visible enough in the public domain, and it needs to be so, so that the public are clear of what our ambition is, and that then justifies the staff that we need to help achieve that.
And before I get to you, Rosemary, Lucy, who's hiding in the corner there, has already started work looking at redeveloping our website.
Yes.
Because we have a lot of our documents that aren't up there, and it's not easy to navigate. And once we get that sorted out, then it should be far clearer to the members of the public what we as a council are trying to achieve. So again, watch this space. That will happen sooner rather than later. Then
Man's paperwork, if you'll note, under the scheme of delegation, recruitment, etc., goes through the staffing committee. And I would just like to reassure everyone that we all started off with this part-time, what was the best way, but then we went through the advice of the HR person because we have a big ambition for Berwick, and we think it's really important that we go for the chief officer because we're going to get a wider range of people applying, and we have looked at giving them a moving to Berwick allowance as a possibility. That's me finished.
Have we discussed this enough? Yes. Is everybody happy to move on to the next point? Thank you. Okay, so action plan to receive an update. You all have a plan here. I think, Laura, we have you to thank for updating it.
Is that actually partial?
Yes, I think so.
Anybody have any points within that? I've got a couple I can update people on. Christmas lights are starting to do my head in because it's getting closer and closer. It was one of these things we never got a report back. I was up at the units the other day, and I was speaking to the wardens, and they had to say that at least 10 light fixtures were taken off the asset register and disposed of because they were not fit for purpose and wouldn't actually last for this year. So I didn't get that feeling at the meeting we had in January. I thought it was maybe only 2 or 3. So I asked Justine to look at how much it would cost for getting further 12 light fittings, and seeing if we can get them now, they'll be cheaper than for right till the week before we need to put the lights up. Also, I'm having a meeting with our electrician next week just to go through some of the detail there. We did try and put this out to tender this year, but we got no tenders back. So I think we need to stick with the existing electrician this year. It's a bit of work we maybe need to look at for next year. Okay. Living Christmas trees, again, disappointing that we can't get them in Prior Park, but that spot that we had at the bottom of Prior Road and Eagleway Road, which one was Dean Drive, a little bit off, yes. It's got services underneath, so we can't put any trees in there. We'll have to think of an alternative. I mean, I'm keen to see some living trees in the estates round about, not just solely in the town centre, that we can light up at some future point. Maybe the operations manager can come up with some good ideas. Okay. What else have I got? CLS 17 invoice town centre businesses for hanging baskets. Steve got the invoices sent out last week.
Yes,
And we
just
start.
last week, the money started coming in, not all being paid yet, but it started coming in.
Okay, CLS 19, the new bus shelter for outside of Asda. Justine has identified a couple of potential bus shelters. However, she was approached by the contractor who's working for Lidl, because they, as part of their Section 106, have to put in a bus shelter on the southbound road opposite the existing bus shelter by Homebase, if everybody's clear where that is. So it's a bit of joined up thinking. It's a similar type of bus shelter we're looking at, because it's similar widths of pavement with similar problems really. All we can have is an up and over. I don't think there's room for seats itself, but she's speaking to the contractor and also the guy from County Council to see whether there could be a bit of joined up thinking as far as when they could put in, can we get best value out of the tree at the same time. Okay. Provide seating and a table at Highcliffe. Unfortunately, we went up there for a site visit. Justine and I went there with the contractor to look at where we put the paving slabs, and we were approached by one of the local residents and says, well, that's just going to be antisocial behaviour there. Seemed to have an issue with youngsters hanging around at the back of the shop. Laura and myself will be getting together with the representative. Laura, do you want to speak on that?
I was talking to Karen Winton about that, and she commented, A, she knows the resident, is most likely to be. Secondly, that it was raised with Gareth early on, and the decision was made at that time that if we never did anything because of our concern of antisocial behaviour, a lot of things wouldn't ever get done. And so she felt, from her perspective as a representative of the local area, one representative of the local area, that it would be worth trying to go on here.
Okay.
And I agree.
Right. Maybe we can get another site visit, maybe with a few representatives of the committee. Well, of what do we call themselves? Is it the Hospital Residents Association?
Oh, yeah, well, the group at Northern View.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. CLS 24, provide picnic tables for the play park. Again, that same day, Justine and I went down with contractor. They've identified 2 sites for the new picnic tables down there, which will be disabled friendly, so we can get wheelchair access. 2 different styles. I think feedback will be one is better than the other, but it's trial and error. We'll see how we get on with them. At the same time, we've got confirmation that the benches, and I think they're the ones that are sat outside there, the benches have come for inside the play area. So there'll be 7 benches going in there, because when we were down there, it was such a busy day and there were parents all over the place looking for somewhere to sit. So, wasn't it? I mean, it's one of our key sites, so we've got to make sure that we provide the seating available. CLS 25, we can scrub that one off. The trampoline has been replaced and sorted.
That goes back to November last year.
Yes, we've got that sorted out, and we have got a few spare springs which weren't stolen by the vandals who broke into that pit about a month ago. So we've got some spares in case anything happens to our trampoline. Okay, move on. CLS 28. Move the digital signboard to the side window. I think we need to look at getting an extension cable, maybe put on the other side of it, because it's working inside the window. It's not getting the glare, which is what we're worried about. However, it's pointing the wrong direction. You're going to be picking up people who are coming down the street as they're coming into town, rather than people who are leaving town. So I think all we need is a long extension cable to be bought. Put that on my list of to-dos, please. Remove the digital signboards from CLS 30, removing the digital signboards. God, Cape Marygate and Cascade Car Park. Justine and I will be meeting with Derek Bradshaw, and just before you start, we'll fill you in on it, at the Two-Mouth Depot, get some advice from him on it. I mean, I would imagine the electricians from NCC putting the cable from the nearest lamp post to the actual digital signs. So it's a matter of how we can disconnect that so then we can actually remove the signs. Okay, CLS 31, Marygate bins, they have now been ordered. Should be again with us within the next fortnight, and we will get those out when we've had a look at the plans as to where we're proposing putting them. We don't want to clutter, but at the same time we want to have them where the most usage is as far as people with all their rubbish. Anything else? So done the CLS 45. Moving the beacon for next D-Day ceremony. There's not so much next D-Day ceremony. We have a problem with the beacon being up on the bastion there. English Heritage are very unhappy with it because it's a health and safety issue. So my suggestion would be we look at liaison with County Council and look at maybe Pearfield, where it's flat surface, where we would have the same health and safety issues. It's just a starting point, but again, it's a conversation we can maybe link into what we're doing for celebrations going forward. Of national importance. Yes.
Sorry, slightly, well, it's on point, but it's not something we've previously considered. When we last did have the beacon lit, I think possibly it was in the Lake Queen's Jubilee. There was a sort of impromptu beacon that took off over at Spittal, and it actually looked really amazing because you had the two lights on either side of the river. And it's just whether or not there is a position or a desire, and I don't speak to my councillors or members of the public who live on the Spittal side. It's quite nice, kind of a joining up thing, whether there is a possibility.
Certainly have a look at it. Certainly have a look at it. I mean, go under your CLS.
But councillors and those on the floor, it's kind of nice because the idea being that the beacons kind of come along up the stretch, you know, we've got Bamborough.
Okay, Green.
Lovely idea. I'd like to discuss it at CLS.
Okay, we'll take it in.
Support. Just something that's been added, we agreed that we would investigate, this is to do with seagull stuff, investigate getting a hawk next breeding season. You know, little turtle project.
So is that CLS 14?
Find out the information, how much it cost, are they effective, how many people would it upset, how many people would it please.
I used to work for a borough council that had a horse on its payroll. The horse worked on market, and you'd pulled a little cart and collected cardboard, and it was on payroll. I can't remember what it was called, but I'm just wondering if the hawk was going to go on the payroll.
I think the guy with the hawk might be given a grant towards actually sort it out.
Not a direct employee.
I don't think we're going to be having any RSPB issues. Anything else from the action plan? Yes, Jane.
Number 47.
Water. Yes. one of the first things that our new operations manager will be looking at. But I hope one conversation I did have with Becky from the Community Trust is that the people who what's the name of the group? Border Links is moving in next door are not averse to us for members of the public. We started the nursery quite successfully with Jane's considerable help up at up at Ramparts, growing up our own plants, which if you look at the plantings around the town this year, the hanging baskets and the plantings it's far better than we've had for a couple of years. But we have got an issue with no water on site, something that we were looking at and never got looked at. However, Border Links is next door to it, and to me the simplest thing to do is ask them for a standpipe on a socket on the water tap on the outside of their property, and we make a contribution towards them, and then the water can then just be fed straight into water tanks we can have on site. That would work out far cheaper than us trying to reinstate a water supply from the mains. We'll look at both, operations manager will look at both going forward, but we will have it sorted out and explained sooner. Yes, sooner. Okay. Anyone else on the plan? No, action plan? Right. Okay. We might be happy. We move on. Budget and Admin Committee to adopt the minutes of the meeting of the Budget and Admin Committee held on the 10th of June, noted at the meeting of the 24th of June. Anyone have any queries? And if not, can I have a proposal and a seconder, please? Thank you. Seconder? Rosemary, thank you. To note the draft minutes of the meeting of the Budget and Admin Committee held on the 22nd of July 2024. Any queries? If not, proposer? Rosemary and seconder Tom. Thank you. Communities and Local Services Committee to adopt the minutes of the meeting of the Community and Local Services Committee held on the 3rd of June, not the meeting of the 24th of June 2016. Any queries there? If not, can I have a proposal and a seconder, please? Proposer Jane, seconder Mike. To note the draft minutes of the meeting of the Community and Local Services Committee held on the 15th of July 2024. Anything? No? Okay, proposer? Thank you very much. Seconder? Mike? Thank you. Next, G. To adopt the minutes of the meeting of the Planning Committee held on 17th of June 2024 and noted the meeting of the 24th of June 2024. Any queries? If not, proposer? Tom and Laura, second.
You
can't do it.
You can't? I'll second it. Oh, you can second it if you want. Okay. To note the draft minutes of the meeting of the Planning Committee held on the 29th of July 2024, which was before, but we've now got them.
Very minor comment on there in attendance. It should also be one other member of the public.
Brian?
Yes.
Yes. Make that amendment when it comes to...
Couldn't be forgotten.
That's just in that first bit, open session. Okay. Right. What was it, Tom, with that amendment? Yeah. Straight to the second there. Okay. Date of next meeting council will be held on Monday the 30th at 6 p.m. Thank you very much everyone for coming. Yes.
John, could I sit and think about the quality of the minutes, which are very informative and useful?
Thank you both. Okay, thank you very much everyone.
Best of luck to everybody as well.
Brian.
No, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be interesting, which is the main thing. So.
I'm actually live. I'm live. I want to say hello to you. Can you say hello now? Too early? Just they'll hear us. They'll tell us.
Well, yes, I did.
Oh no!
Totally rude, obnoxious git and didn't do what I
had to leave the building because they're talking staffing, so they're staying on. So would you just like to say hello? You're live on I'm the Bridge newsletter, Wendy, and I kind of do the news and what's happening. So you're the first. This is the first sight everyone's had of you. So welcome to Berwick. We're all really excited to see you.
Well, I'm not a local originally, but I do live here now. So.
And just a word on your new start.
No, I'm looking forward to a new challenge and hoping we can make the improvements the council wants for the town, for the residents and for tourists alike, and hopefully we'll do some good and a lot of hard work ahead, but for all along enjoy it.
Well, congratulations. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.